Hello, everyone. We were flagging a little bit today. The words did not come quickly today. We were writing through the day again, which is inherently pleasant. And we even have time to paint a little bit, so that was nice. I'm gonna say something. Okay, today's stuff is all one scene. It kind of neatly fit into one day's amount of words, and I don't know. So Zach is kind of, if there needs to be exposition done, Zach is kind of the guy who needs to do it because he's the one who knows the things. And if anyone else says it, it's just stuff they've pieced together from Zach talking to them. Um, but you can't just have him just show up and drop a bunch of exposition. I don't know. I guess it's kind of a trope now. Is the like one guy who I don't know. I, I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say. So the thing is, Zach is very unreliable and bad at explaining things. Um, and just kind of like hops between topics and doesn't answer questions. Uh, this is on purpose. This was to make him like a more likable character and not just someone who shows up and dumps exposition. I didn't want him to be doing exposition really. I didn't want him to be doing coherent exposition. He needed some more character than that. So we're gonna have it be everything be very vague and possibly Zach might just be a maniac. You can never really tell if what he's talking about has any basis in sense or reality. But then does any of this? It's a very strange situation, and the filter we have to tell us about it is Zach. Zach is extremely unreliable. Yeah, I don't know. So problem with this is it kind of dragged. I don't want to drag out what would be the exposition scene, but isn't because we're not doing just an exposition scene. Just drag it out for twice as long and not have anything happen. Um, but Zach's also like the instigator. He gets everyone to go where they need to go. But also, I might have to do more exposition in the next bit because of how vague I was. And we'll see. I think this is all right. I think it kind of works. It spend me. I spent a lot of time agonizing over it. Hey, we'll see. We'll discuss at the end. How about that? Anything that I'm still unsure about. Anyway, it was mid-afternoon and Rob was lazing his way through his last day before his bold new future, watching TV in his bedroom and eating a pot noodle. When he first heard... Should there be a full stop there? When he first heard the faint scrambling around the vicinity of his window, he deemed the sound uninteresting. Oh yeah, I guess there should be. As it gradually intensified, he realised grudgingly it was something he might have to check on. By the time he'd built up the energy to get up, switch off the television, and stomp lumberingly through into the other room. I don't think lumberingly is a word, but it is now. We invented it. One of Zach's legs and most of his torso had already managed to slip through the window and into his abode. The rest joined them shortly. Zach quickly spotted Rob and greeted him with a guilty look, followed by a friendly wave. Zach was wearing a sharp crimson jacket, flared jeans, and thick earrings. His hair had been tied back into a chunky ponytail, and he showed up in thin gloves and work boots. He somehow looked slightly more like himself than he had previously. To Rob's distinctly normal sensibilities, he looked ridiculous. More worryingly, he was in Rob's apartment. What's that thing you always say? Zach initiated conversation, remembering quickly. Alright, buddy. What are you doing? Rob was still half asleep and struggling to catch up with this recent development. I was in the neighbourhood, he shrugged. Thought I'd check on you. Are you doing okay? You broke in, Rob informed him, assuming he must somehow not have noticed. Yeah, but I did it for the right reasons, Zach said, like he firmly believed it. How are you, by the way? How are you holding up? This was too much, too soon, and two coming in through the window and walking dirt all over Rob's nicest rug. This is a bad time? Rob tried to turn him down politely. Can you just leave me a phone number or something? I'm here now, he gestured widely, knocking over some small ornaments from the windowsill. Let's talk. Rob was defeated, Ola. He'd survived everything that happened at Cooper Booth, and this was still too weird for him. I think I'm doing okay. I'm starting looking for jobs again tomorrow. Zach laughed. Why, you're just going right back to it? Rob was confused by the response. He said, yes, very definitely. Zach's enthusiasm was temporarily blunted. Okay, sorry. We've got a lot to go over, I guess. Can we sit down somewhere? Rob sighed. Close the window. We'll head into the kitchen. The room was open plan, but Rob always subconsciously considered the living room and kitchen halves to be separate areas. Zach gave him a thumbs up and closed the window. I think the lock's broken, by the way, Zach called. That's fine. Rob wasn't listening. He felt like he was relapsing into some kind of psychosis in the presence of the strange man. He took a seat at the small table pressed right up against the opposite wall. Rather than take the other, Zach hopped up onto the counter between the kitchen and the living room. Do you have any snacks? Zach asked, vaulting the fence. Vaulting the fence and getting the window open had taken a lot out of him. This trips me up every time because he has just climbed something and it says vaulting the fence, and it's like, he didn't. There's no fence in the room. What does this mean? And then you read the rest of the sentence. This needs sorting out. Do you have any snacks? No. Fair, fair. Taking the hint, Zach switched topics quickly. All right. First thing, April's doing okay. Full recovery, give or take. Rob wished Zach had sent her instead. She'd seemed more reasonable. I would probably have used the door to get in. Is she at a hospital? She is? Rob was genuinely surprised. She'd clearly been lucky, although it hadn't looked like. Hadn't looked. Jesus. Although it hadn't looked like it at the time. That's good. It is! A silence crept over them that made every tiny squeak in the background sound deafening. Rob had nothing to say to the man, and rather hoped he'd go away soon. He showed no signs of leaving shortly. So, what have you been up to? Rob managed. Not a lot right now, he admitted. Everyone's been a little on edge. Everything's a bit hectic, you know. Plus, we're plumb out of leads, right? And with the police nosing around asking questions. You don't like cops, do you, Zach? He shook his head. Fuck no. But that's beside the point. He cleared his throat noisily. Do you have anything to drink? Rob looked through him, utterly baffled. Glass of water, he offered, motioning to a stacked draining board by the sink. Would you? Rob groaned, and was already standing. He'd already half poured the glass when he realised there was absolutely no way he should have fulfilled that request. It had been so rude and occurred at such an odd time that it had bypassed the part of his brain that tells you not to prepare beverages for home intruders. We're hoping to head out again soon. We're just not sure where next, yeah? Thank you. Rob Rob handed him the glass of water. Well, good luck with that. Rob had nothing else for him. That's another in joke. I gotta throw a few of them in there. I've got nothing else for you is the in joke. Because it's what Jeff says on the Survivor. We're still watching Survivor. If you, I mean, no, no one's watched any of my videos, but we talk about Survivor a lot when we're playing Final Fantasy. We're still watching it. Zach paused for a good long time, expecting more. Okay. So our first step is we need to work out who we're up against. That'll find another hotspot. Judging off the last one, we might not have much time. I was hoping you might have seen something that can help us out. He looked up from his glass hopefully. I don't know, Zach. I'd need to think about it. What did you tell the cops? Zach responded very quickly and in a slightly sinister tone. It was like he'd had the follow-up question primed before Rob answered the earlier one. Not much. Rob's brow furrowed. Was that why Zach was here? I didn't figure you for the cards close to his chest type, Zach continued. It was starting to feel as hostile as the police investigations. That should probably be interrogations. And in Rob's own home, no less. If they don't ask for it, I don't venture it. Rob continued to be northern. So you don't like cops either? Not especially. That's good! Zach put down his glass, having not taken a single sip. So, what did you not tell them exactly? Can I ask a question? I might actually take away that that comma there, because it should be. What did you not tell them exactly? But I didn't pause when I read it out, and I think it was better. So, what did you not tell them exactly? Can I ask a question? Rob interrupted. He had many questions. You just did. Zack grinned evilly. Why are you changing the subject, friend? I didn't tell them about the monsters or anything. Any of the bits that would have been really hard to explain. They didn't ask either, so I figured I was off the hook. Should probably put some text at the front of that sentence. Sometimes I just write the dialogue for a bit and then go back and do the stage direction and stuff. I think this needs a explanation of why he was just he felt defeated by this and just gave him what he wanted. They didn't ask either, so I figured I was off the hook. You're not off the hook, buddy. Zack laughed. They know you now, and they know you know. Rob interjected. Who knows? They do, Zack answered confidently. Who are they? Rob asked, notably more peeved than he had been a sentence previous. The guys we're up against, Zack answered as if it were obvious. Cooper Booth? Rob struggled to catch up with wherever Zack's head was at. I'm pretty sure most of them got eaten. Not the bosses, not the higher ups. They were never even there, Zack explained. We're not fighting mid level workers, guy. We're fighting the big guys. It goes right to the top. Rob had learned precisely nothing from this conversation. Perhaps that he wanted no part of whatever Zack was up to, but he'd already pretty much known that. So someone's after me. Yeah, obviously. Zack gestured again, expertly knocking over his glass of water. He continued obliviously. Why do you think I came in through the window? Because you're mental. Maybe a little of that. Zack chuckled as if Rob's statement of fact had been a light-hearted goof. Mostly because they'll be watching the cameras in the lobby and the hallway. Rob wasn't sure if he was curious or morbidly curious. So what's going to happen? Dunno. Zack shrugged. Let me just ignore all dunnos. Dunno. Zack shrugged. Maybe nothing. Maybe you just go missing one day, wake up dead. You're lucky in that it seems like the world's going to end pretty soon. They might not bother coming for you. Rob was beginning to feel tired. This is a whole lot, Zack. He took a breath and wondered if April could explain what the hell Zack was on about if she were here. Is there any way I can talk to April about all this? You don't trust me? Zack appeared offended. Zack seemed particularly volatile today. Rob didn't want to rock the boat. It's not. I'm kidding. Zack reached for his glass, wondering how it had mysteriously vanished. It was currently rolling across the floor. I'll run you now if you want. We're not too far. He stood and began to head for the window rather than the door. Rob did not trust Zack as far as he could throw him. How about you give me an address and I'll pop round? Zack considered the request, settling on, I guess? Are you busy? Extremely. The wild man pulled a notepad out of an interior pocket in his jacket and a pen out of one of his sleeves. This sentence I'm really happy about. Because he just sneaks up on you as he pulls a pen out of his sleeve. He just has a pen up his sleeve for no reason. Here's the process, okay? Memorize this, then burn it. He began to scribble down the address, using the counter he'd been sat on as a rest and wondering how bits of it had become damp since he came in. I'm trusting you here, family. Again, I wanted him to have, like, terms of speech, terms of phrase, that's the one. That, like, are completely alien. And I kind of want to go back and do this. I like him just finishing instead of, like, mate or guy, just family. Trusting you, family. Yeah, okay. Rob waited. Like, you know what he's saying, but it's not quite right. Anyway, sorry. Yeah, okay. Rob waited patiently for him to finish, thankful that this all seemed to be wrapping up. Oh, one last word of advice. He tore a small slip of paper off his notepad and handed it to Rob. If you're gonna stay here, fix the lock on that window. You got me, bud? I'll make note of it. With a smile, Zack strolled confidently back to the window and climbed out, disappearing into the night. Rob closed it behind him, feeling suddenly cold. Despite his utter confidence that Zack was a madman, and his nonsense should be treated accordingly, some of the things he'd heard didn't quite sit with him, stirring every now and then as his mind wandered. Besides which, the conversation had brought the reality of the horror they'd both encountered back to him. and the dark knowledge he'd been imparted but couldn't fully understand on his own burned at the back of his mind, looking for an outlet. Rob didn't sleep much that night, and throughout the next day, he was extremely conscious of the cameras in the lobby and hallway. Anyway, that's where we're ending for now. Next time, Rob's gonna go to the address and meet April, and Piper's gonna be there for the first time, planning a dramatic entrance for Piper. But not really. Piper's not a very dramatic person. I quite like it, but I'm worried that it didn't say anything and wasted a lot of time. But that's kind of Zach. He doesn't say anything and wastes a lot of time. Poses a lot of questions but doesn't give you a lot of answers. Or he poses some answers but doesn't ask the question. No one asked the question and no one knows quite where it might have been. Yeah. You know what? That was fun. I liked it. I really like Zach. I used to every time I've written Zach. That was me hitting my chair, by the way. Every time I've written Zach, every time I've written a story with Zach in it, I've been really sad every time I've done a section about him because I haven't liked him much, and I've just kind of mentally kicked him up a notch for the next one. I think we've reached peak Zach. This is this is the good stuff. I know. I like him. This is definitely going to be the tone we go for if we ever get around to finishing this. Yeah, that's it. Thank you for being here. This is probably a short one. It's 16 minutes. We've got 16-minute ones. I'm gonna wait for it to roll over into 17 minutes. Still waiting. It's 10 more seconds. It's gonna do it. Thank you, everyone. I'm gonna try to stop it in exactly 17 minutes.